The year is 1936, and Russia is divided. While the white forces under Kolchak were able to beat back the Bolsheviks, many revolutionaries had successfully fled to Manchuria, where they had proclaimed the new Russian Republic, or just Jelteria. A blend of groups would come to prominence in this new republic, ranging on the left from some form of transhumanist socialism to more rightist fringe reactionary groups, with many other moderate or radical groups lying in between. Currently, Alexander Kerensky leads the young nation, dreaming of finding himself back in Moscow, but the question is, will he be able to do so? Or will somebody else do the job for him? But for now, marching to Moscow is out of the question, as Kerensky needs to try and steer the nation. And with that, the main benefactor and protector of Jelteria, Japan, has collapsed. Public discontent in the nation had risen to an all-new high after they had failed in trying to open China for domination once again. And now, without the Japanese around, political instability had also reached an all-time high in Jelteria, coinciding with the economy fully collapsing. With the people rioting and the state deteriorating, the Supreme Jelterian Soviet had decided to demand for Kerensky to step down. Fearing the consequences of refusing, Kerensky would accept, and his former vice president, Pavel Milyukov, would take the reins. Seizing the opportunity, many leftists would also band together to try and demand for more liberties for the proletariat. However, Milyukov, being the capitalist man that he is, would find all of these demands preposterous and would refuse, which would in turn greatly anger the leftists and, more troubling, the military. And just like that, the military had stepped in to oust Milyukov, and after some time, a long-anticipated radio broadcast had finally proclaimed the new leader of the young republic, Vasily Chapayev. Chapayev was a participant in the First World War, and a later Bolshevik commander during the Russian Civil War. However, he did not follow the traditional Bolshevik ideals. Rather, he believed in a far more individualist version, anarchism. He believed that the central government should have no power, and rather, the nation should be held together by many communes all working together to create a better society. And slowly, he would begin to plant his policies amongst the nation, slowly decentralizing it into what Jelteria and later Russia should look like. Meanwhile, on the other side of Russia, Kolchak had lost any sliver of control he had left over the vast empire. His domain was engrossed in a civil war against Drozdovsky. Meanwhile, the autonomies that he had set up across the nation were slowly breaking away, and also fighting with each other. Finally, the time to reunify Russia had come, but Chapayev was not ready yet. We had to bide our time and prepare the territory before being able to launch our crusade across the Rus. And Chapayev's first order of business was to completely reset the state. When he came into power, he had changed the flag and name, but that was not enough. He needed to, and would now eliminate all forms of the past nation, officially transforming Jelteria into the Free Sonarstvo of Jelteria. And afterwards, he would begin to enforce his brand of anarchism. Now, Chapayev knew that anarchism wouldn't be able to last long without any form of enforcement. And so, he would create quote-unquote local mobs across the constituent communities within the territory to try and enforce anarchism and prevent any other ideas from taking hold. Although, this is contradictory to the concept of anarchism, I am aware. Now, while Jelteria wasn't ready to expand, many other warlords were, starting off with Radila Gaida and his Czech legionaries to the north. However, he was quickly outmatched due to the fact that his land resided in Yakutia and didn't hold much substance. Next came the Mad Baron in Mongolia. He too believed that he could destroy the free territory and replace it with his crazed Buddhist beliefs, but given the fact that his nation was based in Mongolia, he really didn't last long and came under the banner as well. Chapayev was continuing his reforms throughout these two conflicts and really timed things perfectly. As just a few days after Mongolia had joined the territory, Chapayev had finally fixed the economy and proclaimed Jelteria to be ready to finally unify the motherland and spread the good word of Mother Anarchy to all. The first target on Chapayev's hit list was Vlasov and his Tsarist hellhole in western Siberia. The Siberian terrain was a burden to both sides, but the Jelterian forces were superior and very capable of striking and seizing Vlasov's cities along the Mongol border. And so, after some time, Vlasov had thrown in the towel, meaning that all of Siberia had now finally joined the Sonorodstovo. Now, You would think that integrating all of these new lands full of different people and ideas would be incredibly difficult, but you would be incredibly wrong. Surprisingly, it was super easy to integrate all of these new lands under the anarchist banner. And with how easy these lands had fallen to Chapayev, he had begun to truly believe that he was liberating all of Russia. I mean, if the people of Siberia were so willing to comply, then surely the rest of Russia, and perhaps even Europe, would act the same too. Meanwhile, in Kazakhstan, Savinkov and the Kavkaz were fighting for dominance. Seeing Savinkov as an easy target, Chapayev would strike, but they didn't make it far, as Savinkov would quickly surrender and cede all of the land over to the Kavkaz. Chapayev, understanding the severity of needing to take out every other warlord before the Russian Empire was ready to strike, would quickly declare war on the Kavkaz. Surprisingly, however, the Kavkaz were quite the pushover, honestly. While they did hold the numerical advantage, they were very incompetent when it came to fighting and providing an effective defense. And so, the second-to-last warlord would be embraced by Mother Anarchy, leaving only the Russian Empire remaining. Compared to the other warlords, the Empire was quite intimidating, sporting an incredibly large army compared to Chapayev. And to add to that, Chapayev didn't have enough soldiers to cover the whole front, leaving this war to potentially be a close one. The fate of Russia hangs in the balance between a return to monarchy or the opportunity for renewal. And with that, Russia has finally been unified, with Mother Anarchy spreading her domain from Vladivostok to St. Petersburg, and a little bit more too. Chapayev has now achieved his immediate goal, to finally liberate all of the motherland. And now, after many years of conflict, he can finally rest. But despite all of his achievements, he couldn't shake this feeling of unfinishedness. While he was happy to have gone so far, he still craved more. He thought back to Siberia, and how easily the people accepted him. And his ideology, of course. He thought that perhaps if the Russian people were so open to anarchy, then maybe other peoples could be too. I mean, the minorities under Chapayev's banner seem content with Mother Anarchy, so what's stopping the rest of Europe from feeling the same way? And after pondering this thought for a very, very long time, he had finally decided he needed to liberate the rest of Europe from the horrors of capitalism, liberal democracy, accelerationism, anything that oppresses the people. And so Chapayev set out to announce to the territory for their new grand ambition, to liberate Europe. The armies would first set their sights to conquer, liberate Russia's immediate neighbors across the Dnipro, the Intermarium, and Ukraine. The Russian horde would quickly cross the border. While on paper the Dnipro River seemed to be a natural barrier capable of stalling out any forces attempting to cross it, in practice things didn't bode out that way. With Ukraine's only real defense now having been penetrated, their time was very limited, and the same could be said for Lithuania and Belarus. The two would quickly fall and be integrated into the territory, then quickly followed by Ukraine. Ukraine would annoyingly surrender to Poland, leading to a little border malfunction, but it wasn't like that was going to save Poland. Given time, they would surrender, and upon them doing so, Mother Anarchy had now finally found herself at the gates of Western Europe. At this current moment, the Internationale and Avant-Garde were at war, and seeing that the Germans were losing, Chapayev had decided to take advantage of their situation and declare war, quickly capitulating the faction. And now, with the many socialist lands having been divided, Chapayev had placed his eye on the remaining enemies to European freedom, the French and the Austrians.
Свобода пулемета я ищу в степи врага. Анархия, мама, сынов своих любит. Анархия, мама, не продаст. Свинцовым дождем врага приголубит. Анархия, мама, за нас. Застрачу огнем кинжальным, как поближе подпущу. Ничего в бою не жаль мне, ни о чем я не прощу. Анархия, мама, сынов своих любит. Анархия, мама, не продаст. Свинцовым дождем врага приголубит. Анархия, мама, за нас. Только радуюсь убойной силе моего дружка. Видеть я могу спокойно только мертвого врага. Анархия, мама, сынов своих любит. Анархия, мама, не продаст. Свинцовым дождем врага приголубит.
And with that, Chapayev has finally achieved his goal, to liberate Europe, for the most part. Although there were other nations still remaining who didn't follow the anarchist way, they would sure fall in the near future. However, our story ends here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and let me know what you guys think of this little documentarian format I decided to do for this video. It was cool, but it took a decent amount of hard work, and I don't know if it's sustainable, but if you guys like it enough, then maybe I'll continue. It's nice to be back. I don't know if I'll post consistently, but we'll see. I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.